Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development program, and in particular the AWD1100 or C# Programming Fundamentals course, I'm creating a series of video presentations that are based on the textbook we're going to be using for the class, which is Murock's C# 2015. The book has 26 chapters, and I'm in the middle of Chapter 6, talking about how to code methods and event handlers. All right. Now, what we had left with was talking about an optional parameter. Let's pretend for a moment that I'm writing a totally different application than the one I just shown you. Okay? And let's suppose that we were asking a person their first name, last name, address, city, state, and zip code. Okay? Well, if I'm writing it for Rankin Technical College, I can pretty much be assured that when I ask people for their state, it'll be Missouri. So what I can do is, like they show here, I could create a default parameter that said something like string state equals double quote MO double quote. That way, if we didn't pass in a state, all right, you'd use the default one. Now, let's see if we can get that to work with our calculator. All right. So let's see. Let's try. This is the other program. There we go. So let's suppose if we'll leave num1 in there, but for num2, we'll say equals 17. All right. I just made that number up. There's no significance to it whatsoever. None. But I'm going to put that in there anyway. N2, whoops. Oh, that wasn't good. All right. Now, I have no idea if this is going to work or not. Wouldn't normally do it this way, but we're going to try it anyway. Okay. You saw this before, where we put in 34 plus and 3. Boom, we click calculate. No problem. I'm going to click clear here. I'm going to put in 34 again. I'm going to put in plus again, but I'm going to leave this blank, and I'm going to see if it puts a 17 in there for me and 51 here. And it doesn't like that. It's looking for a value that it can convert, and there isn't one. So I'm going to have to make a little change here. All right. And I'm going to have to say this. I'm just going to set this equal to 0. Okay. Now we will come in here. I picked a really bad example. It'll work. We'll get it to work, but I picked a bad example anyway. All right. So double N2 equals 17. So N1 is that, N2 is that. I'm going to try this anyway. So N2 equals, I want to grab that is numeric that we had written earlier. I think that's in here. Okay. There it is. So that's an example of writing our own routine. So we're going to, whoops, bring that whole thing in here. X. If is numeric, num2 text box number 2 dot text, if it's numeric, then n2 equals convert dot, still think it's going to not work right now, to double text box number 2 dot text. Okay. Now I didn't write the is numeric, but I did copy it in from when I wrote it previously. There it is. All right. So run it. It'll work fine as long as I provide a number, but I believe if I don't, it's going to break. Let's see. Oh, it's already giving me an error. Is numeric does not exist in the current context. Well, there's button calculate. Is numeric. Oh, that's interesting. Does not exist in the current context. N2 equals is numeric. There we go. That's what I want. That's not right. No. If, that's what I had before, wasn't it? If is numeric, this. Oh, I think it's because I used a capital I and then a lowercase I. There we go. Okay. So let's save it and try it. Again, I believe if I put in a 34 here and a plus and a 3, that it'll work just fine. But I believe now if I leave this out, I might get an error. And I do. This is good. I mean, I totally understand why I'm getting it. All right? And I'll come up with a fix for it. Let's see. The easiest fix I can come up with, and this will make it work a lot easier, okay? And that is maybe I can do it like this. Okay, if it's numeric, let's see. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pause for a second while I try to think of a quick, down and dirty little fix for this. All right, I think I figured out a fix. Let's check. So let me save. I have not run it. So again, 34 plus 3, that should give me 37. If I try it without a number here, it should give me 51. Says it does not. So if it's numeric, that should be number 2, not number 1. So I'm going to stop the run and change that to a 2. No problem. Try it again. All right. 34 plus 3, 37. Leave the number off. Should give me 51. Hello. All right. So why did that work? Clear, exit. The other ones should work too. Let's say no, but let's try 34 minus 17. That should be right. 34 times 17. 578 if I did it right in my head. All right, 34 divided by 17, 2. 34 modulo 17 would be 0. Okay, so that all works. Clear, exit. What did I do? Why did I do it, etc.? All right, what I said was, if there was a number inside of here, inside of there. So if number 2 had a number in it, use it. But if it didn't, use the default value of 17 instead. So if there's a value, if there's a number in that second text box, use it. It becomes num2. And then I created a very simple little Boolean variable called has and set has equal to true. Then when you're doing this, if there's a number in there, call it and pass in 2 things. Otherwise, call it and pass in 1, where the other one will be the default value of 17. If it has a number in there, call it and pass in 2. Otherwise, pass in 1 and use the default. If it has it, call it and pass in 2. Otherwise, pass in 1 and the default. If it has it, call it and pass in both. Otherwise, pass in 1 and the default. So you saw that in each case. All right? And the default, I just set it again equal to 9/8, etc. Some garbagey number that should never really come up. It's not that it's impossible that could come up. It is. So what I've shown you here is just a way, maybe not the best way, but I've shown you a way of using default parameters. All right? If you use default parameters, they have to be the last one or ones listed. That's just the way it works, so that the system knows you're working with default parameters. All right. See if I've got enough time to quickly go over a couple more things in this chapter. How to use refactoring to create a new method from existing code. I would recommend that when you're doing this, don't use shortcuts unless you have to. All right? And what I mean by that is learn the right way of doing things. Learn what's happening underneath the hood, so to speak, and then use the shortcuts if they're available to you. All right? Let's come back in just a minute. We'll talk about using ref, and there might be the word out in here also. I don't know, but we'll talk about that in just a couple minutes.